learned something late in life. Danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it pours you a drink, smiles gently, and calls it love. That night in Alaska, the house was warm, the candles were lit, and my own sister sat across from me at the table. My husband said he had saved a special wine just for me. His voice was sweet, too sweet. When I lifted the glass, something felt wrong. Not fear instinct, I didn't confront him. I didn't hesitate. I smiled, stood up calmly, and switched the glasses. 30 seconds later, the truth revealed itself. My husband poured me a very full glass of red wine and called it special while my younger sister watched my hand with a little smile. I lifted it to my lips and tasted metal. I smiled as if I believed him, stood to fetch the salad, and quietly switched my glass with hers. She raised it to toast love and took a proud sip. And 30 seconds later, her face changed while he said her name in a frightened voice. I did not shout. I simply looked at both of them and thought, tonight the truth will drink for me. My name is Edna and I live in Alaska, where the air in winter feels like glass. When you breathe and the nights can stretch long enough to make you hear your own thoughts. I have been married a long time, and I learned to carry the quiet parts of that life with steady hands. I cooked the dinners, kept the bills paid, smiled at neighbors, and told myself that small disappointments were only little stones under a wide river. But lately, the river sounded different. He came home with a new cologne that did not suit him. There were 2 lipstick smudges on 1 coffee mug before the sun was even up. And my younger sister began stopping by with a shine in her eyes that was not meant for me. Told myself to breathe and to be careful with what I believed. Because a woman can break her own heart by guessing wrong. So I watched the tiny things. The missing receipt, the late call, the quick tap of a screen turned face down. I kept my voice soft and my steps measured, because when a person wants you to doubt yourself, they talk louder and move faster. I did the opposite. I moved slowly, as I set the dining table that night with the good plates and folded napkins. I reminded myself that truth does not need me to shout for it. It only needs me to see it and stay calm when it arrives. All week, I kept my pace even and my eyes open. I folded laundry and found a receipt for a dinner he never mentioned tucked between his shirts. I watered the fern by the window and watched my sister linger too long over jokes that were not funny. I heard his voice soften on phone calls when he thought I was in the pantry. When I stepped out, he would clear his throat and say it was nothing important. I noticed the way he began to smell like a hotel lobby at odd hours, that polished blend of cleaner and cologne that does not live in our house. I counted the changes. The new password on a phone that once sat open on the counter. The sudden interest in late meetings. The way he started calling me darling in a tone that felt rehearsed. I wrote the dates down in a small notebook. Next to each one, I wrote how my body felt, because the body is honest when the heart wants to be kind. Every entry read the same. A thin ache behind the ribs. A cold bell ringing quietly while I stirred soup and smiled at the doorbell. By the time the dinner invitation went out, I already knew the truth would arrive. I did not know its hour, only that it was walking toward my table, step by careful step. At the farmer's market, a neighbor mentioned seeing them laughing together at a hotel restaurant on a Tuesday night. He had told me he was working late. I smiled, asked about peaches, paid an exact change, and walked home with a steady step. At home, I opened our old tablet and saw a shipping notice from a store I did not recognize. It listed a strong sleep aid with a warning never to mix it with alcohol. I stood very still. Then I began to prepare. I checked the small camera my granddaughter once helped me set up. I placed fresh batteries in it and adjusted the angle. I polished the good glasses. I ironed the tablecloth. I wrote the emergency number on a small card and tucked it beneath my phone so my hand would not shake when I needed it. the night before the dinner. While folding his jacket, I felt paper crinkle under my palm. Inside the pocket was a note written in my sister's hand. Soft promises, foolish words, and four that lean the room sideways, our secret after she is gone. I folded the note back where I found it. I did not scream. I washed an apple I did not want and ate it slowly while looking at the kitchen. I had kept for years. I promised myself I would not perform my pain. I would not give them the spectacle they expected. I would let the truth speak. That morning came gray and thin. I opened the windows to let the sharp Alaska air clear the rooms. I set the table with linen napkins and white flowers. I dressed carefully. I told myself fear is loud, but truth is quiet. When they arrived, they brought the cold in with them. My husband smiled with a voice meant for company. My sister's perfume was too sweet for winter. I welcomed them calmly. He poured the wine. He filled my glass higher than manners allow. I lifted it, tasted metal, praised the color, and stood to fetch bread. In that small movement, I switched the glasses. She lifted the glass meant for me and toasted love. She drank deeply. Her laughter thinned into a cough. The cough became a rasp. Her eyes widened as the room tilted. I called for help in a clear voice. I said there may be a sedative in the wine. I stayed calm while panic burned around me. At the hospital, I told the truth plainly. I handed over the evidence. I did not beg. I did not rage. I went home alone that night, placed my ring beside 2 untouched glasses, and packed a bag. I called a locksmith. I called a lawyer. I saved the recording. Morning brought confirmation. The sedative was real. The affair was admitted. The questions followed. I stayed steady. In the weeks that came, I changed locks, closed accounts, and reclaimed my house one quiet decision at a time. Freedom did not arrive loudly. It arrived like a door that finally opens without sticking. Now, when evening falls and winter presses against the glass, I sit with my tea and breathe easily. I learned that calm is not weakness. It is wisdom wearing a steady face. The smallest decision, the quietest act, can be the one that saves your life. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Please tell me in the comments where you are watching from and what this story made you feel. I'll be reading every word.